Good morning and welcome to the Ora Gold Limited Investor Webinar. I'm Jane Morgan, the Investor and Media Relations Manager, and today I am joined by CEO Alex Passmore, who'll be running through the investor presentation that was lodged with the ASX last week. Alex, I'll hand over to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Jane, and welcome all to the Ora Gold investor presentation and webinar for October 2023. So standard disclaimer. So we'll jump straight in. So Ora Gold is an advanced gold explorer with a high-grade gold project in Western Australia, near Meekatharra in the prolific Murchison region of Western Australia. We're surrounded by past and currently operating operations. So the Platonic Gold operation, the Andy Well operation, which is on care and maintenance, and the Meekatharra Gold operation, which is in production. And then the Q Gold operation and the Mount Magnet Gold operation a little bit further on. The Ora Gold's key project is the Garden Gully project, and that's named after the large Garden Gully drainage that goes through the area. And we've been busily drilling out the Crown Prince prospect within that, which sits on a granted mining lease with a native title agreement in place. It has an old resource which is well out of date now. And we're working towards updating that resource by the end of the year. I joined Ora in February this year. We recapitalised the balance sheet, got rid of debt, and deployed money towards exploration. And we're seeing some really successful results come out of that work. And we look forward to commercialising the asset as we progress. We've also recently tripled our land holding in the area, showing what a prospective area we think the area is, and we have an experienced board and team that have done all this before. So turning to the key corporate statistics, Ora trades under the ticker OAU. We're capped at around $38 million. At the end of the September quarter, we had $2.3 million in cash and no debt. In terms of shareholders, the top 50% have about the top 20 have about 50% of the shareholding, and we have about 3,200 shareholders in total. We're well supported by our brokers. The last capital raising was done by Argonaut. The one before that was done by Canaccord, and we have a good network of other brokers also supporting Ora Gold. The board, Rick Crabb, Frank DeMarte, Mel Randall, and then myself and an experienced team running the exploration programs. So just zooming in on to Garden Gully and where it sits in Western Australia and where it sits relative to Meekatharra. So the Garden Gully project is made up of 677 square kilometres of tenements covering the Abbott's Greenstone Belt, which you can see here. This is a geology map with tenements overlaid. And the Abbott's Greenstone Belt is a structurally deformed Archean greenstone belt, much like many others in Western Australia. There's been gold discovered and mined here since the turn of the century, or since 1905 to 1915 was a key time for gold discoveries in this belt and in and around Meekatharra. And a lot of those gold deposits haven't been followed up by modern exploration. Now, what's controlling gold mineralisation in this area are these large-scale shear zones. So the Abernathy shear zone is a key one that runs up on the eastern side of the Abbott's Greenstone Belt, and there's similar style structures in the Meekatharra Greenstone Belt further to the east. Now, our tenure covers a large portion of that major shear zone, and also where there are gold-bearing splays that come up and strike more north-south from that major shear zone. We see most of our gold prospects are on the eastern side of the belt, related to that shear zone, and the key focus has been Crown Prince, sitting in the middle of our tenement package here. Now, importantly, we have mining leases over Crown Prince, Abbott's, and Lydia, three very advanced prospects within that belt. And then we see potential for early stage shallow open pit production, particularly at Crown Prince, given that we have a native title agreement in place and it sits on a mining lease. So all that's really required there is baseline environmental studies and then a works approval from the WA Mines Department, or DMIRS, as it's now called. We've got several mills within trucking distance. The closest of which is the Bluebird mill, which sits here, which is owned by Westgold. But there are Platonic, there's the Ramelius owned mills to the south, and there's several other mills like Burnacurra and Andy Well, which are on care and maintenance that we could look at going to in the fullness of time. So zooming in on the geology of Crown Prince, we've recently released several high-grade results from Crown Prince. So some of the grades that we see here are fairly, are very compelling. So, I'm not going to go through all of them, but 40 metres at 16 from 75, 17 at 12.5 from 96, 16 at 36 from 146. Now, all of these intercepts are from below the weathered zone and in the main ore body at Crown Prince, which is this ore body over here on the western side, which was previously known about. And then the exploration that we've done this year has delineated this SEB ore body, or southeastern ore body, because it was southeast of the main ore body that was previously known. And this is where we're having a lot of success, and most of these drill hits are coming from. So in fact, the best drill hit that we've seen in the area is from 551, drill hole 551, 16 at 36. From 146 meters, sorry, which is well below the weathered zone, right through this ore body here, the southeastern ore body. So we see this area, as a key growth area for resources. Now, how these ore bodies sit in space is quite complex. They're folded and contorted quartz veins. So you can see the folding in this ore body outlined in this sketch, in this figure, and then in the southeastern ore body. So quite complex to model, but the grades that we are seeing make it very much worthwhile to have a fairly dense drill pattern and understand these ore bodies in detail. The ore bodies are offset by north-south structures, and then are thicker in the hinges of these drag folds. Recent exploration has hit a very nice hit up here of 2 meters of over 900 grams, and so that's that's another key area for follow-up. So we're looking here at a cross section through the southeastern ore body, and I'll jump into Micromine shortly to show you what it looks like in 3D. But we're looking at this cross section A dash here, and we're looking to the northeast. So this is how the southeastern ore body looks in a simplified view. So dipping down to the south east is around 6 meters wide at depth. So that's a good underground mining width. And these are the sort of grades that we are seeing. So between 25 and 35 grams per tonne. As I mentioned before, RC hole 551 gave us a very, very high grade intersection there. So I might just flick over to Micromine, just to give everyone a more technical overview of how we are seeing things. So just bear with me. So looking at the belt in its entirety. So this is Aura's ground position in the Abbott's Greenstone Belt over a Google Earth image. This is the town of Meekatharra. We drive up from the town of Meekatharra and off the Great Northern Highway and into the Crown Prince ore body, which is here. This is the Garden Gully drainage that I was mentioning earlier. So I've got here the Crown Prince drilling intercepts represented as grade circles. So anything orange or above is really high grade. So I'll just show the grades that we're seeing. The legend is not popping up. So above orange or hotter is above 5 grams basically. So you can see how the picture is emerging in 3D. If I look down the strike of the ore body, the southeastern ore body is very much striking to the northeast, and we're seeing high grades continuing down at depth with some key drill holes remaining outstanding, which we're very much looking forward to in terms of showing the depth extents there. So looking at this in a flat panel, as in a long section, you can see here this was the area that we knew about first, and that's been more heavily drilled, and then we've been following that down to the south, to the southwest. The new high-grade hit announced today comes from this area over here, so that's likely to extend this mineralisation this way. So we think that's probably an offset with a north-south structure running through here, and so interesting to follow that up at depth. Now you'll hear us talk more and more about this area over here, Crown Prince East, and that's some shallow, very high-grade hits over here that also sit on the mining lease that we're following up at the moment. So that's just been delivered in recent shallow air core. Further out, so this is the mining lease here. This is the focus of drilling. This is where the Lydia prospect is. And if I zoom out a little bit further, this is the Abbots prospect up here. So we're starting to do some work on that mining lease up there as well. You can see that the stylized cross sections in the investor presentation, are a simplification of what we actually see in reality, but you can't put all. It's very difficult to put all of that on the page. But basically a southwest dipping panel of mineralisation that's hosted in a quartz vein, quartz and carb vein that's within a mineralised dolerite, sheared dolerite. So this is what the rocks look like up close. So this is the intersection from 551, and you can see here gold and quartz, or gold hosted in a quartz vein in a sheared and metamorphosed dolerite. The brownish colour is carbonate alteration, so we get particularly high grades where we see that, and we use pathfinder geochemistry to such as arsenic to show us whether we're getting close to the high grade zones. One of the important things about this style of mineralisation is it's clean. We're seeing very good cyanide recovery in leach well, which is one of the early metallurgical testing methods, and so we're seeing above 97% recoveries from cyanidation in that work, and we have more detailed met work underway, and we're hopeful of a very high gravity recovery result there as well. So the drilling programs are ongoing. This is a photo of a DDH1 rig at Crown Prince. So we've defined the southeastern ore body of sediment mineralisation over a 250 metre strike length, and down to around 150 metres vertical depth. We're focused on extending that depth where it's well understood, and also growing the strike length. The mob mineralisation, the ore body that was historically known about, is better defined. It's had more drilling in the past, and it's quite a short strike length, ribbon-like zone plunging to the south west. But that adds very, very useful ounces in terms of an open pit that would see these ore bodies be mined together, SEB and mob, all in the one pit, and then conceptually an underground below that with both ore bodies being mined. The ounce per vertical metre profile that we see with those two combined, compares very favourably to existing operations that are in production in Western Australia. We'll know more when we publish a resource later this year, but we're very confident of seeing commercial levels of ounce per vertical metre. So how deep could these ore bodies go? Well, the deepest hole in the field at Crown Prince has hit mineralisation down at 259 metres, and that's a diamond hole drilled into the mob ore body, which returned 8 metres at 22 grams. So that ore body remains open at depth, and is by no means closed off. So the SEB ore body, looking at the mob ore body as an analogue, the SEB ore body could easily go to those sort of depths and hopefully well beyond. And if we look further afield, the Great Fingal and Golden Crown deposits at Kew, have good mineralisation down, at 750 metres. So, there's no reason why these ore bodies couldn't be, as well endowed as those. So, that we're hopeful, but that's they're the analogues that we're using. And looking more regionally, apart from Crown Prince, so we've recently tripled our ground position. So we acquired ground off an explorer in the area called Seeker Resources. So we added a significant ground on the western side of the belt, ground further along the Abernathy Shear Zone, and then West Caledonian down here near some West Gold operations, and East Bernacurra, which is near the Bernacurra Gold processing plant. So we're very happy having expanded the project size, and we remain focused on Crown Prince. Probably 80% of our exploration expenditure gets spent there, but we are also keeping our minds open to the regional story as well. So in terms of the plan for Ora from here, so we're increasing the market awareness of what we've got and how big we are in the Meekatharra Murchison area. Our recent funding has been applied very effectively to exploration, particularly at Crown Prince, with a new ore body discovered and going into resource later this year. We've had new cornerstone investors join the register over the last 6 months, which has been very helpful, and they're supportive and liking our exploration efforts. And we've been returning high grades, so that long may that continue. From here, we need to, and we're aiming to build the project to a significant scale. So that is to get to a commercial scale, whether that's toll milling or building our own mill. There's a lot of mills in the Murchison area and in this area that are within trucking distance, depending on grade. So the grades that we see are high enough that the ore can truck to most places. So it would be a shame to have to build a mill when there are so many idle mills in the area. But we'll have to see how that all turns out. So we sit on granted mining leases with native title agreements that contemplate production in place. So we've got a rapid pathway to mining there. An important thing for us is to understand how big Crown Prince is and what sort of depth extent is there. So we've got some deep drilling ongoing there. So looking forward to next year, there'll be further resource updates, further drilling, and we'll be progressing metallurgy, geotechnical, hydrogeology, and all those things that are needed to understand what a mining operation will need to be aware of in terms of risks, and other commercial cost and cost factors. So that work's all going. We're liking what we're seeing, and no major hurdles seen so far. So we look forward to a busy finish to this year with drilling ongoing and resource updates, and then another busy year next year. So with that, I'll hand back to Jane.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Alex. And if webinar attendees do have any questions, please use the Q&A function, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. Let me just kick off those. So in today's announcement, we had a grade of 910 grams per tonne over 2 meters. Can you just give us a little bit more information about this result?
Sure. So that result came from the northeastern end of the Seb ore body. It was quite an interesting result. Looks like it's offset to the north, so it looks like it's on the other side of a north-south shear zone, and opens up a new area for us to test. So potentially adding more shallow ounces along strike. Wonderful.
And you've mentioned this a few times through the presentation. However, when do you expect the results to be announced, and how are you feeling about it?
Feeling good about it. I wish it was tomorrow, but it won't be. It'll be when we've got all of our data assays back into the consultants. We use Cube for our resource work, and it'll be before the end of the year. Hopefully well before the end of the year. But I'm well aware that's a key milestone that investors are looking for.
Wonderful. Again, you've covered this. However, so with an established gold industry in the region, including processing plants, what options are available to expedite production at the project?
Sure. So there's a range of options. There's there's mills that are idled that won't cost much to get back into production, where we could be 100% of the throughput, and so that will come with a higher operating cost. So someone like a Burner Curragh mill, which we could fill with our ore from Crown Prince, but a small mill like that might be $80 per tonne milling cost. We could share a mill or toll mill with one of the existing producers in the area, where our ore feed would make part of the overall blend. There's other issues that come with that. How do you follow your gold through? How do you reconcile it back to the ore body? And what do you get charged, per tonne for milling that material? Now, the bigger mills in the area, like Mount Magnet, like Bluebird, like Plutonic, their costs are a lot lower than running a small tonnage mill. So their costs might be somewhere between $25 and $30 a tonne of operating costs. So for toll milling someone else's material, they're going to charge a bit more than that. So that ends up being a cheaper option, but then again, you're not in control of your own destiny.
Thank you, Alex. So just one on thematics here. So with gold pushing towards new all-time highs in multiple currencies, coupled with it being traditionally seen as a safe haven for investment, where do you see the gold price going in the coming years? So
gold has historically traded, down in a rising interest rate environment. So it's unfortunately, it's trading high because of the geopolitical uncertainties around the world, which none of us like. But we're happy that it's trading high, but we don't like the geopolitical uncertainties by any stretch. So I think the higher interest rates, if they were going to impact the gold price, are already priced in. And so while we might have a higher interest rate environment for longer than most people expected, that's already been priced into the gold market. So I think the gold price will remain supported, given the balance sheets of all the reserve banks around the world have been stretched and gone up in size with QE. So gold acting like it should, as a hedge against inflation. You can't necessarily print new gold, but you can print new money. And then the interest rate, the higher interest rate environments, already been priced in. So I think well supported at current levels would be my view.
Thank you, Alex. So I think let's just reiterate what shareholders should be looking out for the next 3 to 6 months.
Sure. So more drilling results. Drilling results at SEB, drilling results regionally, metallurgical test work, which we expect to show really good results. Very importantly, a resource update. I'm not going to put too fine a date on it, but before the end of the year, and I'm well aware that people go away mid-December. And that's a busy time for the next couple of months.
Thank you, Alex. Sorry, another one just popped up. So, what are the company's plans to fund further exploration?
Sure. So we've got 2.3 million in the bank at the end of September. Or we had 2.3 at the end of September. Like all explorers, we're dependent on the capital markets for our funding, and our return on investment in terms of dollars in the ground has been really good this year. So we've deployed $7 million on our projects this year, and we've discovered a new ore body, and we'll have a resource that we think underpins a commercial outcome for Crown Prince. So we are dependent on the market for funding, but then again, it's what we've seen in terms of return on investment has been really good. So we would expect that funding to continue to be available.
Wonderful. Well, Alex, that's all we've got time for today. If we have missed any of your questions, please feel free to reach out via the contact details on the bottom of our ASX releases. But we look forward to hosting you again soon.
Great. Thanks, Jane. Thank you all.